Hi everyone! In this video I thought we'd do something a little fun for the holiday season. I've been noticing a few specific luxury holiday highlighters floating around that look very pretty, very appropriate for the gift-giving season. So I wanted to accrue just a few of them and compare them. So in this video, we are going to look at the price points, how much product you get, what the quality of the products are, the packaging, everything from the superficial to the actual quality of the products, and compare them to see which one is worth it, what you might be most interested in for each of the different options that you have. So I chose 3 of them to compare in this video. These are all available through either Sephora or the one from Lancome seems to be only available at places like Macy's and Nordstrom. Readily findable on your online search for an online website to purchase them from, and they also should be available in stores. As always, I will link where you can find each of these products in the description box below and leave you a link to eBay so that if you do make the purchase online to buy anything, you can at least get some cash back on your order. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and let's get to comparing some holiday highlighters. Let's start with Marc Jacobs Omega Glaze All Over Foil Luminizer, which comes in a mostly gold box like this. The shade is 79 Guilty. This is what the compact looks like. It is reflective gold. Fingerprints will show up very noticeably, very easily. This retails for $49, and this is what the pan looks like inside. So you can see it is a huge amount of product here. You do get a full-sized mirror, and here's what the pan looks like up close. The shade is supposed to be a warm peachy gold color. It says this is a microfine jet milled powder that applies seamlessly for a get notice glow without glitter. That sounds good to me. It is sized for using on the face and all over the body, hence why you get so much product. And this is a limited edition shade for the holidays. So in here we are getting 10 grams of product. That is an enormous amount of product for the $49 that you're paying. The second item we'll look at is by Dior. This is the Rouge Blush Midnight Wish. So even though it's called a blush, it is a luminizer. It is in the shade 001. As with many Dior products, you first have this felt pocket that it comes in, and then the classic Dior packaging. Again, fingerprints do show up pretty easily on this packaging. This is what the blush or highlighter looks like inside. You do get a synthetic bristled mini brush. It's not good, so I wouldn't recommend using it. You also get a full-size mirror. This retails for $45. Here's what the compact looks like. You have the Dior logo and embossed stars. For this, it says the texture fuses with the skin for buildable coverage. Midnight Wish is also a limited edition. It is a luminous gold highlighter shade. And we can see on the back that for our $45, we are getting a total of 4 grams of product, which you can already tell is much more expensive per gram than the Marc Jacobs highlighter. And the third is going to be by Lancome. This is the La Rose à Poudre. I don't know how to speak French, so I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce it. Starlight Sparkle. This is also in a limited edition shade for 2018. The box, or box inside the box, is beautiful. It looks like this. And you slide off the top to reveal the flower that is inside. Absolutely stunning visually. For this, it says encapsulated in a 50s French-inspired bijou box, traditionally meant to house loose powders. This is a new generation highlighting luminous powder, enhanced with light reflecting pearls for a smooth, buildable glow. And this retails for $60. And let's look at how much product you actually get. It says you get 1.9 grams. So without even testing anything out, we can see that in terms of value, this is going to be the most expensive. Dior will be in the middle, and by far the most value that you get per dollar you spend is going to be with the Marc Jacobs highlighter. Funny enough, I think that the converse is true when it comes to packaging and seeing how unique and visually stunning the item is. I would say that the Lancome one, hands down, is the most beautiful to the eye, followed by the Dior highlighter because of the embossed design that you have on the pan, then followed by the most simplistic, but also maybe the most chic, which is the Marc Jacobs one, which doesn't really have that much of a design, but is still beautiful looking. Now, a year or so ago, Lancome released this flower highlighter in the first incarnation of this product. It was more of a pink toned shade, and it sold out pretty much everywhere fairly quickly. This product is also, it seems, sold out at Sephora and Ulta at this moment, but it is still available at places like Nordstrom or Macy's, so make sure you go check those websites to see if you can get them there still. The two easiest ones to get your hands on will be the Marc Jacobs one and the Dior ones. I have checked and they are available through the Sephora website still at this moment. Let's go ahead and do some heavy swatches of each of these. Ooh, to the touch, this Marc Jacobs one is so just cushiony, pillowy, soft. So that's the Marc Jacobs shade. Definitely has a multifaceted nature. You get this flash of pinky or rose gold, then a more solid gold flash, just depending on how the light hits that one. Beautiful looking. The Dior one, also quite soft and pillowy, feels a little more airy, a little less dense than the Marc Jacobs. Also very beautiful. Does not have as much of a coppery or rose gold tone to it. It's a little more straightforward, pale gold. Then the Lancome one, it's going to be a little difficult to swatch because you should know that the petals themselves, it's just like a paper mache type of material flower that they've then dusted with the highlighting product. The petals themselves are not made of the highlighting powder, if that makes sense. So it's gonna be a little more difficult to swatch heavily. And the effect that you get is not quite as strong, but in terms of tone, it's kind of in between the first two. It is not as deep as the Marc Jacobs one, and it's a little more pink than the Dior one. All right, here are the three swatches up close, just heavy swatches for you to see the effect. Let's see what it looks like applied. I'm going to first start with the one that seems to have the lightest effect. And again, it's a little difficult to use in everyday use if I were actually using this for a look that I was practically going for, not just for the camera. I would probably use a smaller brush. I'm using a larger brush this time because I want to have a larger area that it's swatched so you can see on the camera. It's a beautiful, very natural, almost, at least compared to the other two, effect. So let's see if you can compare that side to this side, which has nothing applied to the cheeks. It just isn't very practical to use though, and as you dust off the edges of the petals, the product will sink down into the center, which makes it even more difficult to pick up product. Okay, so I'm building up a second layer here. I do really like the effect. It's very finely milled, so you are definitely getting a sheen, but it is not gaudy, it's not chunky, it's not glittery. Okay. So 2 layers versus blank cheeks. And maybe some up close. All right, I've cleaned off the brush. Let's go next to the Dior one. Ooh, you do get a lot of kick up on there. Let's see how it applies. Oh, a much more gold tone to this. And you do get a much stronger effect on the first layer here. All right. So there's just 1 layer applied. You actually don't need to do a lot of buffing. It is also quite smooth on the skin. You can compare it to the Lancome one. More stark effect, but still pretty finely milled. You can apply a little more, not even a little more, just a second layer. You really don't need it, but oh, this shade would be so beautiful on really deep skin tones, I think. Okay, there's 2 layers. Again, compared to the Lancome one. Here, hopefully you can see up close. But like I mentioned, a bit more of a mess, just compared to the first one. Okay, so I have wiped clean with a makeup wipe this side of the cheek, and just for background, all I had and still have is foundation applied. I didn't have and I don't have any sort of setting powder on top, blush or contour or anything like that. So again, wiping the brush clean off. I can't remember if I wiped it off clean, so I'll wipe it off again and we will apply the Marc Jacobs highlighter. Okay, so going back and forth here. Oh, wow, I picked up way too much product. That is, wow. Didn't think I was picking up any more product than with the other ones, but I guess the effect is that strong. And what's interesting is that this gold tone on my skin tone is a lot more noticeable, and this tone actually somehow works more with my skin tone, I think because there's a mixture of pink with the gold, but it's just as potent in the finish as the Dior one. I think it's just the color that stands out more with the Dior one because it doesn't quite match my skin as much. And what I also notice, applying a second layer here, not that you need one, is that this tone, unlike the other two that we applied, has a noticeable duochrome or duotone to it. It's predominantly, at least in the light that I can see, predominantly a golden shade, but there is definitely a pink, rosy, goldish tone that you can pick up in certain angles. You don't get that same kind of effect with the Dior one. Okay, there's 2 layers applied compared to the Dior, and up close. All right, so my thoughts at the end of the day. I would say that obviously the Marc Jacobs one is the best value for your money. You could use this every single day on your face and your body, and it would probably still take you several years to use up the product that's in there. So if you are someone who likes to highlight the body, I think that is a good choice. I think the one that is best for the most dramatic effect is going to be the Dior one, and particularly for people with deeper skin tones, I just think that this would look so stunningly beautiful. I think either of these would work also as eyeshadows. Let's go ahead and do that. Why don't we just see what it does on the eyes? Didn't intend to leave my lids bare for this purpose. I was just trying to do a simple eye look to not distract from the highlighter, but okay, there's the Marc Jacobs one. Here's the Dior one. The Marc Jacobs one actually is easier to use because it's softer. It spreads more readily with a dense brush, but yeah, looks beautiful that way too. And then the one that is the most unique and gift worthy, I think, for your vanity to look at, to be something that is going to be remembered for a long time, is of course the Lancome one, just because of the novelty of the way that the product comes, but it is the least practical. So at the end of the day, are any of them worth it? Well, that's of course depending on your situation, your preference, what it is you're looking for. You can definitely find drugstore highlighters that will give you just as strong of an effect with just as nice of a formula. The one that comes to mind most readily to compare to the strength of the highlighting that you get and the texture of the powder are the ones from Maybelline, the Master Chrome ones, is that what they're called? The Face Studio Master Chrome metallic highlighters, the ones that look like this, those ones. And at Target, that will cost you somewhere around $8, and you get, let's see, 6.7 grams. So something that is a third, a fourth, even less than what these other highlighters cost per gram. That's where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. But of course, if you're looking for something holiday, gift appropriate, more luxury, then you're probably not looking for that kind of comparison anyway. You would probably know already that the drugstore is going to be the most value for your buck. So please let me know what you think in the comments section below about any of these highlighters. I know there are a ton more highlighting shades or products that are out for the holidays, but these to me were sort of some of the most eye-catching ones, and they are all limited edition for the holiday season. So I thought it would be a fun video to compare them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video.